All right, Holy Apostles, it is Holy Week. We have arrived. We are in the week, and I just wanted to have some fun with you. I want to throw out a question. It's probably a bit controversial, but I think that maybe in 2026, this might be the year that we get rid of foot washing in the church. This has been a practice of Maundy Thursday, really going all the way back to about the 14th century. So this has been quite entrenched in the church for a very long time. And I know that posing the idea of no longer doing foot washing in the church might be something that gives people pause, but I think that I have good reason for it. So I'll go through a bunch of my reasons, but I just wanted to just look at this as we're quickly approaching Maundy Thursday. So, and I know that some people might think, well, you're just putting this question out there because you don't like washing feet, or you're too prideful, you're not humble enough. Look, none of that is the case. I don't have an issue with washing people's feet at all. I don't have a foot thing one way or the other, feet, I don't really care. And I think that that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is that I don't think that this practice accomplishes what it was meant to accomplish really at all. I think that this practice is just kind of dead. And so I'll go through some of that, but the idea goes back to Jesus with his disciples doing the Last Supper. And during that supper, Jesus kneels down in front of the disciples and he washes their feet. And it was a very powerful moment for the disciples, for Jesus, and really anybody who reads this. This is going back to John chapter 13. Again, this is part of the Last Supper. And so, but it appears as though Jesus commands us to follow this example and to wash other people's feet. And I say that it appears because I think that perhaps we've been reading this incorrectly for a very long time. And it has entrenched this practice in the church that I think doesn't have the significance that it had with Jesus. Now, I'll go over my reasons for that, but let's just start with this. This is the only place in the Gospels where you see Jesus commanding washing somebody's feet, where it appears as though Jesus is commanding somebody to wash feet. In fact, if you go throughout the biblical accounts that we have, as well as the extra biblical documents that we have access to that date back very early on, this is the only section that appears to command this practice. Now, there are other places that talk about the practice of foot washing, but none of them command it. This is the one that seems to command it. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, or the second reason that I think we could walk away from this, is our interpretation of John chapter 13. So, because the way that it has historically been interpreted is that Jesus kneels down, he washes the disciples' feet, and then he tells the disciples, now you go and wash people's feet that are under you, as a way of showing humility. And I think there's a part of that is true, but I don't believe that that's the only avenue through which Jesus is directing us. I think Jesus is giving us a bigger teaching. I don't think the teaching is on, I washed feet, now you wash feet. I think the teaching is on, I was humbled, I humbled myself, and I did something that is far beneath me. So when you are in leadership positions, you also humble yourself and do what is beneath you. Now, that could entail washing somebody's feet. It could also entail doing dishes, setting up tables, cleaning up, vacuuming after the service. It could entail a variety of things. I think Jesus is essentially teaching his disciples that we need to be humble, that we need to not allow the positions that we occupy to be such that some jobs are beneath us. Nothing is beneath you. You've been called as servants for the gospel. And because you are servants for the gospel, your job is to be a part of getting things done, whatever that entails. There's nothing that's beneath you. So to me, that's a much better reading of the text. I think a lot of scholars, recent scholars, have picked up on this, but yet we still continue the practice of washing people's feet. I compare it to the Lord's Prayer. So the disciples go to Jesus and they say, "Teach us how to pray." And then Jesus says, "Okay," and he begins to teach them how to pray. And the way that he does it is he gives them a prayer. Now, what we've done in the church is we've taken that prayer and we said, "Great, this is what we're going to say." I don't think that was the intention of Jesus at all. I think the intention of Jesus was to give us a prayer that had all the important components of what a good, faithful prayer is. And then we're supposed to take that and to offer our own prayers with those things in there, with those components in there. But I don't think that we were just supposed to take the Lord's Prayer and say, "Great, this is my prayer." And I think we've done the same thing with foot washing. We've just taken it and we've said, "Okay, this is how we're going to humble ourselves." Well, let's look at this humbling act, supposedly, that's going on in churches across the United States and in other countries, particularly on Maundy Thursday. When Jesus did this, he is washing the feet of his disciples who are wearing sandals, who are walking on dusty, dirty roads, who are pretty much walking everywhere they're going. And the roads, again, they're dusty, they're dirty, they have feces on them. They're not clean roads. And so when the disciples enter into a home, it is customary to wash their feet beforehand. So Jesus takes that spot and he washes their feet. That spot is reserved for somebody else, a servant per se. But Jesus instead takes that spot. But there's a real need for the disciples to have their feet washed. Now, if you take that idea and you try and move it into the 21st century in America, first of all, most of us are driving to church. We didn't walk. There's very few people that are rolling out of their house. And if you did, that's because you live super close. But chances are you weren't walking on dusty, dirty roads. You were walking on paved roads. And in addition to that, chances are you have closed-toed shoes with socks. If you can even take this even further. Look, in our culture, a lot of people take great care of their feet. People are very self-conscious about their feet. And to make up for that, a lot of people take great care of their feet. Some women wear toe rings. Women get pedicures. I know it's a thing now that some men are getting pedicures. I mean, when we're washing somebody's feet in the 21st century in America in a church, we're in no way like picking up our cross and following what Jesus did. We are so far from what Jesus did. They're almost not even comparable. Yet we continue this practice and we act like this is this great humbling service that we're doing. Look, I said at the beginning, I have no issue with feet. So if people insist that their feet are washed, I have no issue with that. But for me, that's part of the problem. It's not a humbling experience for me. It doesn't do anything for me, and most likely it's not doing anything for the person that's getting their feet washed. So I don't think that the practice is duplicatable in our current context. In addition to that, and I don't mean to bring this up, but it needs to be brought up as well. There is, some people have a foot thing. And I'm not going to go into detail about that. You could look up Rex Ryan, but some people have a foot thing. And because of that, a lot of people are kind of put off by the idea of having clergy wash their feet because they know that clergy are not exempt from these sorts of things. And they're 100% right. It gives people pause. In addition to that, I've already brought up that a lot of people are just downright self-conscious about their feet. And the idea of coming into a church and having their feet not only exposed, but touched and then washed, that's something that really kind of bothers people. Look, over the years now, we've not done foot washing at Holy Apostles since I think 2017, somewhere around there. It's been a while. So this is not something that we do right now. But in the past, we have done it. And when I've talked to people about why they didn't attend the service, the number one reason that was given to me was the foot washing. I didn't come because I feel uncomfortable about the foot washing. Now, to me, what that says is that we've put a barrier in the service that is preventing some people from coming to worship. Now, I'm not one of these priests that's like, we got to remove all the barriers, make it as easy as possible. Some barriers are worth it. So if some people say, I didn't come to church because you do the Lord's Supper. Well, the Lord's Supper is something that we are going to do because the spiritual benefits of receiving the Lord's Supper are worth it, and we're going to do it. But I don't see the spiritual benefits of foot washing. I just don't. And for the reasons that I've already put forward. This is the only place where you see it in Scripture. I don't think that Jesus is actually commanding us to wash people's feet as much as he's commanding us to approach leadership or higher positions with humility. I think this is the overall message that Jesus has for his disciples. And then when you put on top of that you can't culturally duplicate what Jesus did, and all of the foot issues that are around in our culture, this is a barrier that is not worth it. This is a barrier that we could easily remove and welcome in more people to experience Jesus Christ in that service. And that's ultimately what I'm about. How can we offer the grace and love of Jesus Christ to more and more people? And if foot washing is the barrier, I don't consider that a barrier worth dying on. So for me, I think that churches should consider doing away with the practice of washing feet, particularly on Maundy Thursday, because that's generally where this takes place. You can find other ways to humble yourself before your congregation, other ways in which they would appreciate it much more, because most people just don't need their feet washed. They just don't. They may have during the time of Jesus, and that was a very appropriate thing that Jesus did. But it doesn't relate today. That's what I got for you. Give me your thoughts on that. If you disagree with me, come at me. If you think I'm right, support me. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. I will catch you on the next one.